one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm getting used to a packed house. When I used to come and watch the council meetings, there was hardly anybody here. And ever since I started, there's been packed houses. Councilmember Grohl and I think it's our new status. Yeah. Anyway, welcome, and welcome to the people on TV land as well. We're going to get started with item 2A, approval of the meeting minutes from February 10th, 2026. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Right. Item 2B, approval of the City Council work session on February 10th, 2026. All in favor?
Ooh, let's get a motion.
Oh, right. Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item 3, the agenda. Does anyone have any changes or corrections to the agenda?
I would like to add a amendment, and that is a discussion about the safe and stable cities, or I'm new to this.
I think you're looking
business
to
or discussion?
add it under new business,
Yes,
not
under
discussion.
new business.
All right.
To be discussed.
Okay. So Councilmember Gorola would like to add something under new business. Does anyone want to second that?
Point of order, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
We theoretically have, but you didn't recognize a motion. We haven't had a second. So technically, we could add it by acclamation and then move and second the amended version, or we can adopt as presented and then amend. Which do you prefer?
Dave, which do you
Dave.
prefer?
There was a motion. I didn't hear a second to that, although there wasn't really an opportunity for Councilmember Gorola to make her amendment. I would encourage the council to, if Councilmember Engstrand is willing to just simply withdraw his motion, she can finish her statement, and then there can be consideration of whether to approve a separate motion from Councilmember Gorola to approve the agenda as amended according to her. Withdraw.
Withdraw.
Okay, thank you.
So I would like to add under new business a motion to for the council to consider the safe and stable cities and joining as an ally.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Is there a...
Can I jump in, Mayor?
Yes.
Just to clarify, so I assume that's a motion to approve the agenda with that amendment?
Yes,
Thank you.
Second.
Second, is there any discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That will be moved to new business, item 8A.
No, 8A.
8A.
We don't have an AA.
All right. Moving on, item 3, the agenda. Does anyone, sorry.
Consent agenda.
Yeah, the consent agenda. Does anyone have any changes to the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, item 5A. We have Chief Hager here today to recognize the service of our city attorney prosecutor, Mr. Rob Olson. Chief Hager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to kind of gush on about my friend Rob Olson here. After my words, I think there'll be a just short recognition, and Rob will have a chance to say a few words, even if you don't want to, Rob.
Come up to the podium.
He can stay there. Otherwise, you'll have to stand for a half an hour while I read. Rob made a huge impact on White Bear Lake, and his influence extends far behind the courtroom. For 25 years, Rob has served as this city's prosecutor. He has a reputation for fairness, preparedness, and common sense decision-making, which has earned the respect of judges, attorneys, law enforcement officers all over the metro, as well as officers from this department and the community. What stands out most about Rob's career is not just the longevity of service, but the quality of it. His work protected this community and set standards in the area of specifically traffic safety and family violence that will continue to guide those who follow him. Rob's leadership was particularly evident during one of the most challenging periods of DWI enforcement when Minnesota faced widespread issues with the intoxilizer machine, which officers use to determine what level of influence the officers are on. The offenders are on, During that uncertain time, Rob was instrumental in helping our department identify lawful, practical workarounds so impaired drivers could still be held accountable. His expertise provided clarity when it was needed most. In fact, Rob's dedication to traffic safety did not go unnoticed. In 2012, he was nominated by Mothers Against Drunk Driving for a prosecutor's award in recognition of his DWI cases. Beyond former roles, Rob has been a valued sounding board for officers seeking advice on charging decisions and for navigating sensitive legal questions, including matters involving firearm permit eligibility. Rob also ensured that the White Bear Lake, community of White Bear Lake, would be well positioned for the future. Through thoughtful mentoring and leadership, he helped build and support a strong legal team, to include Heather Monens, who's here tonight, whose longstanding service and dedication to White Bear Lake reflect Rob's commitment to developing excellence in others. On a personal note, I've had the privilege of knowing Rob for many years. Through my time first in Lino Lakes, where he was the city attorney there, and then when I transferred here to White Bear Lake. He has become not only a respected colleague, but a trusted friend. His wisdom and perspective have been a source of guidance I have come to appreciate. So, on behalf of the city of White Bear Lake, thank you for your 25 years of exceptional service. We wish you and your large family, who most are here tonight, great happiness and a well-earned retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll shake your hand. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Well, I'll keep my remarks brief. This was Dale's idea, not mine. Mayor Nikolowski, I learned that tonight, members of the city council, some that I've known for quite a long time, and others that are newer. I want to thank you for the honor of just having me come here. And it has been 25 years, which has been a pretty long time, to be honest. It has. And I've enjoyed it all. In attendance tonight is my wife, Ginger, over there, a gal that I married when I was 20 and she was 19, and we're still here. Wow. We also have most of our 4 children, and we have 12 grandchildren. They all live within 25 miles or 20 miles of us. We live on a lake up by Forest Lake, so you wonder what I'll be doing in my retirement? I've served as a city prosecutor since 2000, and there's been many fine people, both with the city and at the White Bear Lake Police Department. Police Chief Lynn Banks, I don't know how many of you remember her. She was, the department was at a low ebb when she came in, and she really spruced things up and really did a great job. And then her handpicked successor, Julie Swanson. Now, I know it was the city council, but Julie had put in a great time, and that continuity was wonderful. And then our current chief and my good friend Dale Hager. I knew Dale when he was a captain over in Lino Lakes, and then next thing you know, he was over here. And one of our captains from White Bear Lake became the Lino Lakes police chief, and we became the prosecutors over there. So this whole thing, there's a lot of relationships. Now, our office, we handle about 2,000 cases a year. So we have everything from traffic tickets to wonderful ordinance violations, which are no fun.
to thefts, bar fights, DWIs, and domestic violence-related crimes. So you can see there's kind of a pecking order. And we appear in court many times each month to handle these cases. GDO Law and the White Bear Lake Police Department, the ones that we're really concerned about and have put most of our attention to has been DWIs, we say traffic offenses, but DWIs and domestic violence-related cases. And the goal here in all this is to modify behavior. I used to say to people sometimes, I feel like I'm a glorified social worker, because what I'm trying to do is get it through these people's heads that you got to change your behavior or you're going to have problems. And to be honest, for the most part, it's been successful. As far as DWI cases, the numbers demonstrate success. We had a high of 383 DWIs in 2009. That's more than one per day, which it used to be that way. And Jeremy Oren was going to hit 100 that year, but he broke his thumb in a little kerfuffle with one of the guys he was arresting. You remember that, Matt, I would imagine. And but now we're down to about 150 cases. So, and part of this is our society. You know, we got Uber now, but the other thing is people have learned that go to White Bear Lake, go to have a meal, have a drink, but don't drive drunk or you're going to get arrested. And so it really has a deterrent effect. People know that. Don't get bombed in White Bear and then get in your car and drive. Order the Uber. It's a lot cheaper. The other thing that domestic violence related cases, we have really put a lot into that. And when I first did it, you know, you're just trying to get these people and convict them. And then we started really looking at them, and we found with all the cities that we did work for, and we got about a half dozen of them, that about 80% of the cases had mental health issues or chemical dependency issues, which should be no shocker. You know, that's people get drunk and they start beating on each other. And people have mental health issues, and then there's domestic violence related issues. And so what we did was we kind of shifted. The outcome we looked at was not necessarily trying to put somebody in jail, but was to get them help, force them to get help. I'm one of these guys. I went through treatment in 1986, and I didn't go because I wanted to. And so it doesn't always have to be that you woke up one day and said, I'm going to quit drinking or whatever I'm using, is sometimes you're forced to do that. And so we learned that this was an opportunity when people had these domestic violence related cases. We got to force them into chemical assessments, and then they got to comply with these. We got to have mental health evaluations if it's appropriate. And Heather and I, that was kind of a shocker. We found that 80% of the cases had this. And so we also work closely with Northeast Youth and Family Services. We used to work with Tubman. Northeast does a wonderful job. And you're trying to get to the root cause of abusive behavior. And I believe this has led to positive change for many families. Now, I'm just proud to report, and that's really about all I have, but just that we built a really good team. Heather Munnins, 15 years ago, was, she came and worked there, and now she's taking over the team, and she's got 3 attorneys under her that help with the prosecution, and she does a great job. And so I just want to report to you that you're in great hands. White Bear was the first city I ever had, and it's the one that I always felt the closest to, because you know most of the cops, you know the people there, you know the people in City Hall, whether it was Joe Emerson or you knew all these people. And so I just wanted to thank you, White Bear Lake, for being so good to our firm. And we really, I'm just thank you that you've taken this moment to just honor me. And those aren't the types of things I look for, but I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Olson, for your years of service to White Bear Lake. We really appreciate it. And don't forget your bear. to remember us by.
We live in Forest Lake now, but we got one of those big bears in front of our house. You know what it's all about.
Thank you. All right. Item 6, public hearings, we have nothing scheduled. Item 7, unfinished business, we have nothing scheduled. Item 8A, new business. Ms. Corolla.
Yeah. So I'll let people leave a minute if they want to.
Take a minute.
All right, so we had a work session where we discussed the Safe and Stable Cities Coalition. Multiple cities had joined it. I think, like everyone else, contemplated way more after that discussion, looking at as things are evolving, where were we at then, where are we at now. My main, what I just kept coming back to is, how can I support our residents better? And to me, that comes with having more information. And I think as an ally, if we join as an ally, we are saying, hey, we want to continue to get these updates. We want to continue to know what's going on. It doesn't necessarily tie us to every single thing that they're saying they want. In our work session, we had talked about, well, you join a coalition, you're maybe one vote out of many. But I believe that this would allow us to still stay informed and say, oh, this is something that might need a need here, that might meet our needs here. We should also be paying attention and follow this, because it's really hard right now to pay attention. There's a lot happening at the legislative level, and also just at our level. Since that time, I've talked to people who have come back from detainment in other states, and these are people who are going to work and were doing that because they thought all their papers, everything was in line, and they were still stopped and detained and sent out of the state. And for them now, they've been out of work 2 months because that's how long it takes, and then you're paying fees to get back. And again, these are people who they weren't detained here in White Bear. They were detained in Minneapolis, St. Paul, other areas, because they thought that there was no risk to them, because everything for them, they thought they were following all the legal channels. And so it's hard to look at someone and say, okay, now you're behind a rent, where do you go? And I've looked into mutual aid. I've been seeing, okay, where are funds? How are other ways we can help people? This is where I'm spending a lot of my free time, helping families. And I think with those, we have some mutual aid, but I don't know if that will be enough. And again, to go join as an ally, every city is so different. Like, I talked to one church this afternoon who's helping people, but they're working with their city, and their city has a social worker, and they're a local city nearby. We don't have that. So it applies to us differently, but I think joining as the ally allows us to say, okay, how can we support these people in ways that make sense, and also make sure that we are, paying attention, because it's a lot to keep track of. And also, we have families who, are still going through these decisions. They still have loved ones in detainment, and they don't know, single moms with kids here who now are at a single family income. And I think a lot of what we talked about last time was, looking at laws and those things. And I know those legislation pieces are coming, but a lot of what happens is there's not much capacity you can do. If you pull someone over, if you think they're reckless driving or that, and they're Department of Homeland Security, they can say, I'm conducting official business. There is not much you can do. So my main thing is looking at, been out in the community, hearing what are needs, what are the supports, and then how can we in a capacity look at that. And maybe, I don't know what that all will look like at the city level too, because again, there's legislation coming down, but I would like to join as an ally to stay involved in those conversations, because I know we have residents who need more supports.
Thank you, Councilmember Gurlitt. Other thoughts? Councilmember. Oh, Engstrand, sorry.
Edberg?
Edberg, sorry, thanks.
either mayor or city manager, what's the update that we have on the cost of joining as an ally if we choose to affiliate in that way? What are the other, from your perspective, as best you know and understand it, what are the obligations and commitments that we make?
Thank you, Mayor, Councilmember Edberg. Joining as an ally does not cost the city anything. Joining as a full member costs, I think it would be about $2,000 with the amount of cities that are part of it, but $2,000 to $5,000. I have just an FAQ here, so I'd read this for the group. Ally membership does not require a financial commitment. Cities receive core messaging and can be contacted for support and advocacy. Allies share information and participate in advocacy at their discretion. So it's really, an ally is really just staying informed. Doesn't mean that, the mayor or myself would be part of press conferences or anything like that, whereas a full membership may include that. And there are 21 cities that are full members. There's one city that is an ally member.
Councilmember West?
Yeah, I think it's important. When we were meeting for the work session, one of the things that I was thinking about is the strength of coalitions and what we can accomplish together versus what we can accomplish alone as an individual city. And I am agreeing with Councilmember Garola about how can we best meet the needs of the city. And knowing what other cities are doing is kind of, I think, a very important thing to do, being part of something that is trying to make things better, both for our city, our communities, and even larger. I mean, this is about also how can we help to support some of the other pieces like the rule of law and constitution as well. That is part of it, as well as kind of the financial piece. I think it's really important. We all make an oath to the Constitution when we are elected. I've made other oaths. I have family members who have made oaths. I think it's very important that we focus on the Constitution and that we're all following it. And I think this is a bit of a step towards that, to just say, yep, we do support the Constitution. We support our communities, both our internal here, City of White Bear Lake, all of the members of our communities, no matter what their backgrounds are, what the color of their skin is, and then also our surrounding communities. So I would support the allyship.
Thank you, Councilmember West. Councilmember Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate you bringing this forward. I appreciate your leadership. I think there's a desire to do something. I'm going to oppose it. I think it's just, sure, allyship, sure, get together with other cities, go to the legislature. Essentially what this is going to be, the group already had a press conference. They're just asking for money. They're asking for money from the legislature to allocate in some way, undefined. They don't have a defined amount because it's difficult to come up with, coming up with a number of like what's the right number, who's been harmed, how have they been harmed. It's really nebulous, and maybe that'll take form as the session goes on. I guess my point is, of all the things to go to the legislature and ask for money for, I wouldn't put this at a high level. I just don't have it as a top priority. There's other things that we could bind with other cities and ask for that'd be more important to me. And so I think that it's winding down, thankfully. The activity is winding down, and I don't think we need to be part of the coalition. Again, I appreciate your effort, and I'm glad you're asking for allyship and not expenditure of city funds, because I think that's just going to go to lobbyists who are going to, run around the Capitol and trying to get money for the coalition. So I'm a no, but.
And I'll just add in too, also appreciate your transparency in that, and everyone sharing their way of thinking. I think that's something that we're good at up here and that the former council was good at. I think where I don't know what's headed, like I said, I've been in touch with a lot of mutual aid and those, but they're kind of tapping out. Like, people can only do so many funds to help other people who were doing just fine. A lot of people didn't rely on any supports from the government who are in now are looking at themselves saying, well, I don't fall into any of these categories and I'm really behind because I, was detained for this amount of time, or I have been home for this amount of time because I've been fearful. And so maybe the mutual aids will be enough to get through, but to me, the allyship allows us to still follow and say, okay, if it's not that, what are our options with funds that we do have, whether it's ones, we already have, if it's LAHA or if it's others, or if they pass more higher. So it keeps us informed, but that's my take.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of looking into it, and it's not just about money. It would be nice to get some money to help our businesses that have suffered for no fault of their own, but the coalition is also in trying to ensure that this doesn't happen again, that going forward, here's some parameters in our city, things they're looking at, trying to get policies on is masking. I think we can all agree that having masked people with large guns and tactical gear roaming in our city is not something that's very welcoming. I know we've had calls on that. They were in people's backyards. And I think that's something that I really don't want to see in this city as a mayor. I'd like our children and adults and people in the city to feel comfortable walking around. So that's the policy that they're thinking of putting forth. They're also thinking of pushing a policy that's they have to have a name and a badge number visible, like our police officers do, so that people know that they're actually an official person that is representing the federal government. They're also looking at policies to prevent agents from targeting schools and bus stops. So a lot of times, some ICE agents have been roaming around the bus stops and the schools, kind of waiting for kids to get off the bus. It makes children feel really uncomfortable. It makes families feel really uncomfortable. So they're trying to put forth policies for that as well. They're also trying to put forth policies that are laws protecting people under the U.S. Constitution, which everyone in our city is protected under the Constitution and under the 4th Amendment and the 5th Amendment and the 14th Amendment. So they're also trying to put forth policies that ensure that those are followed, because I think that we would all agree that everybody in our city needs to follow the laws of the Constitution. And unfortunately, we're in an odd situation right now where the federal government isn't following that. And so we need to try to get some policies put in place to help us make sure that as a city we can make sure that's happening going forward. So I think the concern lies in the agencies. We're trying to enforce immigration policies that have impacted our city and its residents. So we're trying to, that's my take on that.
Want a motion?
Does anyone else have anything else to say, or do you have a motion?
Since I'm the one who brought it up, I would create a motion that we join the Safe and Stable Cities Coalition as an ally.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor? Oh, is there a discussion? Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
Okay, just to follow up on that, being that motion was approved 3-2, I will be in touch with the coalition and notify them that White Lake is joining as an ally. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on, item 9, discussion. There's nothing scheduled. Item 10, communication from the city manager. Ms. Crawford, do you have anything?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything today. I know there were a couple events that maybe you're going to share about, so I will let you do that.
Okay, yeah. The past week has been kind of busy, and just wanted to share some of the things that some of us have been doing. Councilmember Garola and I attended the VFW Walk for Veteran Suicide Prevention Week on Sunday, and it was well attended. I'd say there was 30 to 35 people there, even on a very, very cold, windy afternoon. And I know they were very appreciative of everyone being there, and it was a great event. Councilmember Gorel and I also had the opportunity to tour New Tracks and Merrick to learn and hear about all the great things they're doing in our community. New Tracks is a great asset to our community with transportation, and so we got to hear all about them and learn more about some of their new ideas. I also joined Councilmember Eggstrand and Ms. Crawford and some city staff, Ms. Tracy Shimmick and Jason Lindahl, at the Twin Cities Live event at Rudy's. I don't know if y'all heard about that, but it was very fun and very well attended, and they really did a great job in promoting White Bear Lake and our great city and all the fun things there are to do. So it was a busy, packed week, and I just thank everybody in the community for all the things they put on. All right.
On that note, I could add,
Yeah.
I like this update thing. I attended a meeting of the Ramsey County Dispatch Policy Committee, my first one on this new assignment. Fascinating. They're well-staffed. They have a good staff. They have great data on. Their big issue is employees and turnover. Working in the 911 center is very difficult. They have a lot of burnout. They have 50% of the people don't make it through the first few years, and they're either counseled out or they quit themselves. So a lot of work on keeping employees and mental health and everything else. And their statistics are impressive, so it was good.
That is great. Thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else have any things they did fun this week? All right, moving on. We will now have a closed session. So the City Council, we are now going into closed session pursuant to Minnesota State Statute, Section 13D.05, Subdivision 3B, which authorizes the council to hold an attorney-client privilege closed session under certain circumstances. Our attorneys from Kennedy and Gravin are present to discuss active litigation between the City of White Bear Lake and White Bear Township related to a fire service contract dispute. The need for confidentiality in discussing this matter with our attorneys outweighs the purpose of the open meeting law because legal counsel intends to candidly discuss recent developments and provide legal advice on how to proceed. Allowing these discussions to happen in an open session would jeopardize the city's legal position. Therefore, I request a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Minnesota State Statute, Section 13D.05, Subdivision 3B, to discuss the above described matters.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I'm closing the session. If you have something that needs to be signed, high school students, please come on up.